So there's a way that you just shared to give when you're on your healing journey or when you're really not well. But then on the other end, coming from the outside, often people feel afraid to be there. Even sometimes the closest of friends, you don't know if you have the right words to share. You don't know if the other person's going to take it well. And I wanted to know from you, being on both ends, what advice would you give? Well, you just gave advice what to do when you're actually not feeling well. What advice would you give to a friend or somebody on the outside, not even a friend, all of us who want to support Bikur Chalim? What would you say?
So I think it's so important, like anything in life, to remember that it's really not about us, right? It's really about people that need us, and we really need to show up wherever we can. And I'll just share a little story that just, again, divine providence, God prepared me for what I had to go through. That a couple months before I was diagnosed, an acquaintance, a family friend, was diagnosed with cancer, leukemia. And my mother said to me, we have to go visit her. It's the right thing. It didn't really feel so genuine to me because she wasn't really my friend. I didn't have much to do with her, but you got to do what your mother says. So I went, and I remember being extremely anxious, showing up at her house. What am I going to say to her? What is she going to look like? What am I going to do? And she answered the door completely bald, and she really made us feel so comfortable. She was cracking jokes, and a couple months later, I was diagnosed. And first of all, she didn't make it. She did pass away, but she was such a good friend to me during this difficult time. But what I realized is that when I got sick, I felt that I had to make everyone comfortable. Everyone that came to see me, because I knew what it felt like being on the other end. But I realized even people going through life-threatening illness, like anything, we have to be in tune to ourselves and what we need. And, you know, if we're not ready to see someone, we have to just be real. And you have to be true to yourself, but you also have to be kind to others and realize that everyone has good intentions. Everyone really shows up because they want to show up, and not everyone knows what to say and what to do, but just showing up, even if you say the wrong thing, you're still showing up, and that still brings so much warmth to the person going through something and so much healing. So we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And, you know, even sometimes silence. We go to a shiva, we don't always say anything. We're not supposed to always say something. We have to kind of feed off someone's energy. And it's the same thing. You know, we just have to be comfortable.
That message is very important. It's comfortable, being uncomfortable. And I think that unless somebody goes through something that's similar to the person they're trying to support, it's very difficult to do the right thing and to say the right thing because they simply might not know what the right thing to do is. So for someone who, I mean, inevitably we'll all experience some, you know, someone or something that, you know, will have us wondering like how to navigate it, still not really knowing. But on a practical level, what, aside from being comfortable, being uncomfortable, what can we do practically? If someone, you know, let's say they haven't experienced illness in their own life, but they have a friend and they want to show support, but they're just afraid, they don't know how. How do we get uncomfortable? What are the practical things that we can do to help and to show the right support?
Right. So again, I think everything that Bikur Cholim does is really how we could show up. You know, and sometimes it's even just calling an organization and, you know, asking them for support, and even just sending a simple something, you know, makes such a difference to someone. Even a simple text, which is so easy. And people know, I know, being on the other end, I know that everyone's uncomfortable. We know that. So just the small little gestures, those small acts of kindness mean so much. Of course, meals, you know, there's so much you could do. It's endless. And also to remember that sometimes it's harder for the person watching someone ill. I feel like when I was going through it, my mother was the one that needed the most support. And so to just have that in mind as well and to be sensitive to that the caregiver is the one that really needs the most support.